Hi, everybody, and thank you for coming back to Living to Do's review. We're doing a new review of Bel-Air. It's episode 1, season 1, Dreams and Nightmares. And this is like a spinoff of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that starred Will Smith. This is a drama one. It's like an hour drama, and it's very good. The star of the show is Jabari Banks. Ironically, he's going to live with his cousins, the Banks, in Bel-Air. So first we see Will. His name is Will in the show. Everybody, all the characters' names are the same, but the characters are different. It's more serious, so it's not a comedic role at all. So Will Smith, the guy who plays Will Smith, he is from Philadelphia, and that's where we see him in the first episode, waking up at his home. He looks like a fun-loving kid, a lot of energy, a lot of smiles, just like the original character. There's a lot of similarities, but definitely there are differences. And he wakes up, his mother's making him breakfast. They have a great, loving relationship. Will seems to be like happy-go-lucky. He has a great teenage life. He's 16 years old. He plays basketball, and he has promising talent where scouts are coming to see him play. I think he's getting a D1 scholarship. And he has great friends. He's the star of the basketball team. He has a friend, Trey. They hang out, walk to school together. They play on the same team. In fact, they go play in their basketball game, and they're starring, just, dunking the ball. They're the stars of the team, especially Will. And he plays his game. He wins the game, and he's having fun talking to his friends. They bump into a player, an ex-player, who is now into gangs. I guess he's not playing anymore because he was in juvie. So he sees that Will and his friend Trey are having a good time, and he tells him, you would be sitting on the bench if I wasn't in juvie. They have a little run-in, and Will's trying to defend himself all in the guy's face, but the guy shows him that he has a gun. So they back off. Him and Trey back off. And he says, he kind of invites him to the court to play. And, Will's down to show him what he's made of, and he's better. And so they do go to the court, and they play. And they win. They just should make the guy look like he wasn't good at all. And, they're talking dirt, while they're bouncing the ball, whatever they're doing. And the game was put up, if Will wins, there's $2,000 on the line. But if he loses, he has to work for the drug dealer that's putting up the money. Rashad Denton is putting up the money. So they win, and they're having a good time, high-fiving, jumping around, and the disgruntled ex-player, he's in his feelings. He gets mad, and he throws the basketball, and he means to hit Will, but he hits the drug dealer, Rashad Denton, and that, of course, pisses off the drug. You embarrassed him in front of his people like that, and he wants to know who threw the ball. Well, the guy that threw the ball runs off, walks off like he didn't do it, throw a rock and hide your hand, and Rashad thinks that Trey did it, and Will's like, he didn't do it, and they start fighting, and he punches the drug dealer in the face, and then somehow they're attacking little Trey, and they're fighting and beating him up. Well, Trey bought a gun to the park. It's in the backpack, and Will knows about it. So Will gets the gun, and he's not shooting at them, so he shoots the gun up in the air a couple of times. Well, the cops come, round him up, round up Will, Trey gets away, but the cops get the drug dealer Denton, and unfortunately they got Will. They take him to jail, and he's sitting in jail. Across from him in another jail is Rashad Denton, the drug dealer, the pissed off drug dealer. He's doing all kinds of crazy hand gestures to Will, putting a gun up to his own head, showing him that, he's going to get him. So the next day, Will gets out of jail. It's the next morning. They get him out of jail, and Rashad, the drug dealer, is mad. He's thinking, how is he getting out? He hasn't seen a judge yet, and he's calling him a snitch. That's the one thing you cannot be in these streets, in these drug dealing streets, is snitching. So, that's a threat. First of all, when you snitch, you're as good as dead. He doesn't know how he's getting out of jail. He's just following the police right into his mother's car, and she's taking him straight to the airport. And because he could have been killed, it's just crazy how, things can change on a dime. She's scared for her, appears to be her only child. She's scared for her son. So she takes him straight to the airport. And he doesn't realize he's going to Bel-Air to live with his aunt and uncle. That's really weird, to be living on the streets in jail on your way to Bel-Air. So he gets to Bel-Air. Somehow he's riding in this car to go to his aunt's house. And I don't know if it's an Uber. It's an old car driven by a guy named Jazz. I don't know how they met up, but Jazz is taking him to Bel-Air, to his aunt's house. That's where he meets his family. I guess he hasn't seen them in a long, long time. In fact, as far as he's concerned, he doesn't know them. He pulls up. To his surprise, this house is gorgeous estate, and Jazz is impressed. He didn't realize that he had white family. That's what he said. But he pulls up. They meet, run into Jeffrey, the guy that plays Jeffrey, and he's the house manager in his snug, tight suit. And he pays the driver, first it was $150. He told Will the ride was from LAX to Bel-Air. But he told Jeffrey $200. Jeffrey pays him. He looks around. He cannot believe he's going to live in this mansion. It's a spectacular mansion. He meets his aunt. His aunt's going to show him around, but she wants him to get dressed for the party. His aunt's a really pretty lady, and they're having a fundraiser because her husband is running for DA. I just don't know what he did before running for DA to live in a spacious, beautiful estate home like that. Is absolutely gorgeous. But he's having fundraisers. Bigwigs are in the back to help him run for DA. Before he can go to the party, he meets his cousin Ashley, who looks very different than the previous Ashley, and she is, still one of the socialites, dressed up, and from top to bottom, she has, I'm sure, expensive clothes on, and they're going to dress Will for the party, or she is, in Carlton's closet. Carlton had suits for a growth spurt that never happened, and lucky enough for Will, the suits fit him perfectly. He goes out, he meets the guest, he sees how spacious it is and how luxurious it is. He meets a chef that has food out there, and the chef, he can make anything, so he orders a Philly sandwich like he would have back home. He meets a girl, Lisa, a black girl in this party of mainly rich white people. They have a little chat. This girl apparently was Carlton's ex. He runs into his uncle because he got out of jail because of his uncle's help. We don't know how he did it, but it looks like he did something he wasn't supposed to do to help him out. When he meets up with his uncle's talking to two promising or prominent men in the community, one being a judge, one being Fred, and Will's trying to thank his uncle for getting him out of jail. But his uncle on the sly hugs him, says, "We'll talk later. Um, I'm so happy you're here," type of thing. He introduces him to the guys, but Jeffrey sees he's talking too much, so pulls up and gets Will, takes him out. And that's actually when Will got something to eat. But something's up where Will doesn't know what's going on. His uncle pretty much did something he wasn't supposed to do. And his friend Fred, who was in the circle talking with them, is suspicious. So after that, he meets Carlton as well. Carlton sees he's wearing a suit. Carlton has I think maybe he's condescending. He seems pleasant enough, but he might be somewhat irritated, because how would you feel someone's wearing your clothes and they didn't ask you? So that's not a good start to their new relationship. Will is actually, he's at his uncle's house because, he is trying to get out of trouble. But also, somehow this is going to work in favor for his uncle, who is running for DA. And he's using the platform, I guess, these prisons that are prison for profit, and helping young black boys in the streets and in the system, I suppose. So that's kind of how Will is going to figure in helping his uncle. So I don't think Will doesn't realize what his uncle's intent is at this point. But Will is supposed to get along with his cousins, and he's going to go to the Bel-Air Academy, the school that Carlton goes to. Apparently they're about the same age, about 16. He's going to meet Carlton's friends. Carlton plays lacrosse. It's a sport that, it's not really in the inner city, and Will is basketball all day. They go to lacrosse the next day, where Carlton is having practice, and he's wearing his lacrosse uniform, and Will is wearing Allen Iverson's jersey, which is, that's where he's from anyway, so of course it wouldn't be out of the norm that he would wear that, but it just shows where he's from. He's totally different. And even Allen Iverson, he was different in basketball. He changed the way they, wore their hair, I guess, and the tattoos and all that. He's just brought his own personality. And I think that's the same thing that jersey symbolizes, that Will is wearing at the lacrosse, is that he is who he is and comes with his own style and his own flair. While Carlton is practicing lacrosse, Will spots Lisa, the girl he saw at the fundraiser, and she's swimming. She's on the swim team, and he goes in, and he wants, I guess, just to see her, because he met her. He's the only face, I guess, he really knows. And apparently she's swimming on the swim team, and she will be hopefully going to the Olympic tryouts based on her time. So they get together, and there's going to be a party later, and I guess he's kind of asking her out to the party, and that's where she lets him know that she is Carlton's ex-girlfriend. And he goes, "Oh, it's just a party." So they kind of googly eyes. They kind of like each other, I guess. They're eyeing each other. They do meet up at the party later. But before the party, Will is going to go get his cousin, who's in the boys' locker room. And as he's approaching, they're all singing and to rap music. Some white guy is standing on the gym bench, and they're just dancing around and singing. And of course, in the rap music, there's N-words, and the white people are just freely just saying it, which offends Will. He comes into the group, and he tells them that they're not allowed to say it. And the guy who's saying it mainly is a guy named Connor. Weirdly enough, Carlton's okay with it. They're dancing around. Carlton's dancing around. He's the only black guy in the group, dancing around while all these white guys are saying the N-word. And there's like a little, of course, when Will came over and broke it all up, broke up their fun, that was his introduction to Carlton and all his rich white friends. Well, that set the mood. Carlton and Will, I guess, they're on black. They're not. They're rubbing each other the wrong way. Will does not understand how Carlton is okay with these people saying this word, and Carlton explains, these rappers make this music, they sell it to these white kids. Of course, they're going to sing it. That's his position. Of course, Will's position is they're not allowed to say it. It should be offensive to you when they do, and it isn't. So it's very interesting how their lives are different, totally different. The one thing that Will thinks should offend all black people is when a white person says that word, and it doesn't seem to bother Carlton, which is very interesting. There should be a talk on that. How some kids raised in different areas are not offended by that. So they go, they're going to go home. They're getting ready for the party. Actually, when they get ready for this party, Will comes in and he comes into Carlton's room where Carlton is snorting a white line. We're all shocked to see this. He says to Will that it's just Xanax. Even still, why do you have to snort it? I guess that's going to play out later, and very concerning and very different than the Carlton that we first knew. So these characters are very different. Very interesting. Aunt Viv, what happens at home is that Aunt Viv is trying to tell Will that he needs to try to get along with Carlton. Once you get along, we can see you get along, that maybe he could fly solo, like he doesn't have to be under his wing, but they have to show that he can be trusted. He has to show his aunt and uncle that he can be trusted. So they're trying to attempt to act like they're friends, so he won't be up under Carlton, so Carlton will get his freedom and will get his. So that first snorting thing too, I guess, will be, you're not going to tell on your cousin, I guess, so you can get your own way. So they go to the party, and once they get to the party, he meets up with Lisa again, and they're having a good time. And again, we see Carlton snorting some white powder again. I don't know if that's Xanax. He did mention his drugs, that he was doing his drugs. And once he snorted the drugs, he saw that Will was hanging out with Lisa. They were getting close, they were kissing, and I think that pissed off Carlton, especially with Connor, his friend, in his ear, saying how nice Lisa looks and this and this and that. Well, I think by Will, that's his ex-girlfriend, and his cousin Will, who's under his skin, is getting close to his ex-girlfriend. He didn't like that. They were dancing by the pool, and Carlton comes up to him, pushes him in the water, and we see that Will is going to the bottom of the pool. And it looks like he may not know how to swim. So Lisa jumps in and saves him, gets him out of the pool. Well, once he gets his footing, he stands up. Connor tried to get in front of Will and Carlton, and he got punched in the face. And then Will went after Carlton, which was very, very interesting. I thought this was very different than the comedy show, and I like this show. I think I like it a lot better. A lot of things are happening. One thing I missed to tell you is that his friend Trey was trying to get in contact with Will because he knows, he's telling him, that Denton is after them. Rashad Denton is after him. He wants him dead, and he thinks he wants Trey dead as well. So Will try to make a run for it. He called up Jazz again and to have him come and get him. And he jumped the wall. Jazz is out there waiting for him. He gets in the car because he's going to make his way to the airport. I don't know what he thought he was going to do when he got to the airport. I don't think he has any money. Or if he got to Philly, what were you going to do? But his friend was scared, and I guess he thought he could help him out. His friend didn't know he was out in L.A. As soon as he got in that car with Jazz, Uncle Phil and Jeffrey were right there. Jeffrey seems like a little bit of a hitman or something. He's a fixer. I know he must be the fixer of the family. There's something going on there. He ain't just a regular house manager butler. They get Will out of that car, and Uncle Phil gives him a good talking to. He lets him know that, there's only danger for him out there, that he is trying to help him. Please accept this opportunity to make, to do whatever he wanted in life. He's out of the streets, and he can make a good home for him. And I really love to see that, and I think other young guys need to see that. Uncle Phil was definitely being a great father figure for Will. He talked to him like a man. He understood. I think it wasn't a yelling match. It was just a good talking to. And Will needed that. Will doesn't have a father figure in his life. So Uncle Phil is going to definitely play an important part of Will's life. And I am excited to see it. I think this is a really good show. I think young and old could watch this show. I think there's going to be a lot of life lessons that they're going to be showing, teaching, and it's drama-based. It's not comedy, which was different than the last one. It's just something different, a different take on it. Same characters, but a different take. I really enjoyed it. I think you will too. So that was episode 1. I'm not sure. I think there's 8 episodes or so. Right now there's 3 out available to watch on Peacock. Good episode. And I think I will review the rest of the season because I'm really enjoying it. So that's all for now. Please like, share, and subscribe to this video. Also find me on Fanbase under the same name, Living to Do. So I'm going to start this next episode, so I got to get going. I got living to do.